Let's get started at this stage. Hi everyone, Ken Behan here, and thanks for joining us today for our webinar on multilingual SEO. So before we begin, just a few housekeeping rules. As Chris just said there, for questions that you have, please submit them. There's a Q&A button right in the middle of your screen down below. And so please submit your questions through that. And at the end, what we will do is we will do our best to answer all the questions. Those that we can't answer, we will be sending those questions plus the answers out to everyone afterwards. During the webinar itself, we'll be conducting 2 polls, and your participation in that is much appreciated. And then finally, the webinar itself is being recorded, and you will receive a link afterwards that you can share with colleagues and friends if you wish. So having said all that, one of the questions that I get asked consistently by customers is, we've invested in your technology, the quality is great, but we're still not seeing an increase in visitors to our site. And as always, the salespeople are complaining because they're not getting enough leads that you had said that they would get. And what are we doing wrong? So I was lucky enough about a year ago to meet with our guest speaker today, Chris Falk. And Chris explained to me that the answer lay in what he's going to share with you all today. So without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce Chris. He's one of the leaders in the field of digital marketing, and he's going to bring us through the magical mystery tour that is multilingual SEO. Over to you, Chris.
All right, excellent. And Ken, I did a little bit of research about you, the introduction. Many of attendees probably know you well. Here's a little bit more information about you. I took that from your Animoto, going crazy every now and then.
And I did that about 15 years ago. Talk about marketing. It's time to update it.
Yeah, I actually watched it. Good job, good job. Hopefully we'll get to visit Vegas sooner and later again.
Indeed.
All right, real quick about myself. My name is Chris. I'm the founder of Boulder SEO Marketing. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow me on Twitter. Reach out if you have any questions that I cannot answer during this webinar. I guess a global digital marketing expert, not an expert surfer yet. Originally from Switzerland, moved to the States here in Boulder, Colorado about, 25 years ago. Absolutely love it here. I've been in digital marketing most of my life. At this point, I speak globally. This is where Ken and I connected. I think it was in Boston at XTM. Yeah, and I'm super excited to be here and talk to you guys about international SEO. All right. So this is going to be fast and furious. We only have about 45 minutes, so I cannot obviously go in depth, cover everything there is to know, but I want to point out some of the very important things that you should know. So at least you know what you don't know, and you have an idea on how to get started, or how to always welcome reach out to me. So we'll talk about the importance of source language optimization. We'll talk about SEO keywords. We'll talk about global on and off page optimization best practices, and then last but not least, I will quickly tackle a few international technical optimization best practices. Again, please plug in your questions in the Q&A or chat interface, and we'll get to those toward the end of at the end of the presentation. All right. So yeah, as Ken mentioned, if you want to get people to your multilingual international websites, you have to apply SEO best practices. All right, so setting the stage, why SEO or international SEO? Well, we want to help Google and these other search engines out there understand who we are, what we do, and why in the world do we deserve their organic search traffic? Why should they send somebody sending to our website? All right, SEO has become quite technical, quite involved. So we have to do things to get people to our website. All right. Essentially, it's all about, SEO is all about making connections with people out there searching, for example, for, you know, healthy food options for my kid. So we turn to these search engines such as Google. We'll type a search term, also known as a keyword, into the box there. And then Google's going to match that search query with what they believe is the most applicable thing in their database, you know, bits and bytes, etc. So the better we can address the stuff that we create out there, the content, digital assets, infuse SEO best practices, the better a chance that our content will be served to the person searching for that thing. All right. I teach part of a digital marketing master's degree for a university in France, and I make my students fill out a buyer persona profile or buyer persona profiles about, you know, who are they targeting with their website. And you'd be shocked, but most everybody that I talk to, most businesses, they haven't really done that. So even just a simple buyer persona profile like that will do. This will drive the entire SEO strategy, all right? From your English speaking target audiences to your multilingual speaking target audience. So this is a big takeaway. If you haven't done that, please make sure create those buyer persona profiles. All right. So why search engine optimization? Why international SEO? So this is a real customer example. This client came to us after working with another agency. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad apples out there in the SEO world, which drives me crazy, because you get pulled into the same bucket oftentimes. So they came to us, unfortunately they got ripped off. They kept on losing organic search traffic. It went all downhill. When you start an SEO campaign, it will take at least 2 to 4 months until you see results. But if you stick to it, you should see nice results over time. Basically, that graph going up there, getting more qualified visitors to your website through organic traffic. All right, and then we'll get back to another slide here. This is a company that used to sell only to US-based customers. It's a small e-commerce website, and I'll talk more about this, but we looked at their search traffic, where people are coming from, and we saw that they had other English-speaking countries getting people to their website. So we helped them implement an international English-only SEO strategy. More about that in just a little bit here. All right. Before we take a look at internet users by language, CJ, hey, why don't we do a quick poll? Why don't we ask our audience, how many languages do they localize into currently? Okay, CJ, can you bring up that poll real quick? Perfect. Yeah, so if you guys don't mind, just quickly push the applicable button there, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, and then hit submit. And then CJ, if you just want, maybe we'll leave the poll open for another 10, 15 seconds or so. And then CJ, if I give you the prompt, why don't you quickly share the results? That'll be interesting to know. So let's do another 2 seconds here. 1, 2. CJ, do you have any results to share? All right, so, okay, most people here in our attendance, 1 to 5. All right, interesting. All right, let's carry on here. Oops, let me go back. Yeah, so early on when the internet was invented, it was English only, but as you can see here, now we have all sorts of languages out there growing rapidly, such as Chinese, simplified traditional, Spanish, you know, European, Latin American, etc. There's like different flavors, Arabic, etc. Rapidly growing other languages on the internet. All right. With that said, in other parts of the world, for example, in China and Russia, we have other search engines that dominate this game, also in South Korea. And in many other parts of the country, in the world, there's also social networks, social platforms that are sort of replacing these search engines. However, as you can see here, Google still dominates this game on a global basis here, about 93% global market share. So all these strategies I'm going to talk about, they apply to Google as well as most other search engines. All right. If you go into China, Russia, you're going to have to deal with the respective search engine there, Baidu and Yandex. All right. When it comes to SEO, change is the only constant thing. Google updates its algorithm about 2 to 3 times a day, very minor updates, but then there's massive algorithm updates, such as back in 2015, RankBrain. It was basically a push into AI, artificial intelligence, making their algorithm better, staying ahead of the game, outsmarting, you know, their other competitors such as Bing, Yahoo, Yandex, etc. Then a recent update is called EAT. It's all about showcasing your expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. So you basically, if you want to rank prominently in search results, you have to prove to Google that you are the real deal. So if you have people in your company that could share their expertise, take advantage of that. You know, do webinars, podcasts, interviews, whatever you can do to put out high quality content on your website. That is a big deal. It's going to help your SEO on a global scale. Then most recent massive update is called BERT. It's basically about, sorry, let me go back here. Google better understanding context. So you don't have to just write for search engines. I mean, you never should have, but, you know, write in a way that, you know, specifically talks to your target audience. You know, don't just do keyword stuffing, etc. Write freely, creative, but of course use your target SEO keywords, which we're going to talk about in a second here. All right, those were massive updates, and I do encourage you, if you're involved in SEO, make sure check out these links. I think you'll get the link to this presentation in PDF format. All right, whatever you do, stick to Google's webmaster guidelines right there. Don't try to trick the search engines. Don't try to game the system. You could get blacklisted and your website may lose most or all of its traffic. So whatever you do, don't game the system here. All right, these are the quality guidelines. Basically, make pages for users, not for search engines. Don't deceive your audience. Avoid tricks. And, you know, just think about how can you make your website a better place for the people that are potentially going to visit your website. All right. How can you make it stand out? That's what SEO, digital marketing, is all about. All right. So white hat SEO pays off. Black hat SEO, the bad things, they don't pay off. This is a real example of a website that severely got punished by one of these recent big algorithm updates. They had millions of visitors to their website every month. They got affected by one of these updates. I mean, this website or this company nearly went out of business, if not at all. So you don't want to be in that position. All right. So let's talk about the importance of source language search engine optimization. As with localization, you cannot just translate without having context, without having source content, right? So global SEO is sort of related to localization in that you need to have source content that needs to be properly created, needs the best of the best, and then, only then, you can think about global SEO. All right, let's take a step back real quick. Let me talk about the how the Google algorithm works and how complex SEO and international SEO has become. There are roughly 250 main ranking signals in Google's algorithm, potentially thousands of sub-ranking signals. All right, you can place all of these ranking signals onto one of those 5 pillars. The technical health of your website, you know, make sure your website hasn't been hacked, etc. Then on-page SEO, starting with keyword research, meta tags, optimization, creation, basically all the stuff that you can physically do on your website. Then we have off-page SEO. It's all the stuff that happens outside of your website. Super important to educate Google on, you know, who you are, what you do, etc. And to be honest, most everybody doesn't really get off-page SEO. So I have a really good example later on in the slide deck. And then social media marketing, love it or hate it, it needs to be part of your overall SEO and digital marketing strategy. And then a very recent Google algorithm update, it's the design UX of your website. If your website sucks, you will get downgraded. It's as simple as that. It has to be optimized for mobile devices. People have to find what they're looking for right away within a click, maybe 2. So that is very important. And then the foundation of everything is content marketing. And this is where localization comes in. So your translated content or your localized content has to be as good, if not better, than your source language content. And it has to be optimized for the right keywords. And this is what we're going to talk about in just a second here. All right. So based on all these ranking signals, basically the better you address all of these ranking signals, the better your digital credit score. I happen just to refinance my house here. I'm in Colorado. So we have something called the FICO credit score in the USA. Basically, the better you pay your bills, the better your credit score. So I got an 820 out of 850. So I got the best possible interest rate on my refinance. It's going to save me thousands of dollars over the span of my, did a 15-year mortgage. The same thing applies to your digital efforts. The better, the more effort you put into this, the higher the reward. I hope that makes sense, right? But it's probably a very good analogy on how this works. All right, let's get a little bit tactical here. Let me explain what the SERPs are, the search engine results pages. So basically you type something into Google. One of my target SEO keywords is international SEO training. So I do a lot of trainings. I did in-person workshops, did one in London not too long ago. Obviously now everything went online, doing a lot of webinars. So I know exactly how many people are searching for international SEO training, that keyword. I then optimized both of my websites, chrisralph.com and boulderseomarketing.com. And as you can see here, Google will tell me how many other things in its database I need to beat in order to show up there at the very top, right there. And also a little bit of a word of encouragement for smaller companies out there. You can absolutely beat Fortune 500 companies with the right SEO strategies and techniques. Right there, I got both websites to rank prominently for this webinar that we did in February. And I think we had a few hundred people signed up just through organic search. This, of course, gets me a lot of leads, you know. A lot of these people turn into customers, pays my bills. So this is what SEO, search engine optimization, is all about. And I think these rankings, they showed up worldwide at these positions. So amazing results, what can be done with search engine optimization here. All right, this is the SERP. Google changes the search engine results pages on a regular basis. Sometimes you see images, carousels, whatnot. So in every industry, it's a little bit different, but these are the SERPs. All right. Everything starts with keyword research for SEO. So you need to understand, you know, once you have developed your buyer persona templates, you know, who are these people? How are they searching for the stuff that you are offering out there? When it comes to global SEO, you need to do source language keyword research, and then you need to properly transcreate those keywords into the target languages. All right, let's take a look at that. So let's start with English keyword research. There are short tail keywords and long tail keywords. Short tail keywords, for example, Denver SEO. You know, a lot of people are searching for this search term, very high search volume. The search intent is a little bit lower. It's pretty competitive, a little bit lower relevance. So also we do SEO trainings here in the Denver area. Now we do these webinars. So long tail keywords are keywords of like 3 or more words strung together. And usually these people, they know exactly what they're looking for. Lower search volume, higher search intent, but usually people getting to your website through longer tail keywords, they convert on a higher rate. All right. So don't just go for the shiny object, the short tail keywords. You got to find a good mix of short tail and longer tail keywords. All right. Then, all right. So this is how you get started with keyword research for SEO. I'm using a tool called SE ranking. You type in what's called a seed keyword. In this case, international SEO services. That's for the Chris Ralph website. I want to know how many people are searching for that keyword. Is this a keyword that I want to invest my time into to get to the top of Google and other search engines? As you can see there, there's about 140 people just in the US alone searching for that keyword. The cool thing is this tool and many other tools, they will also show you related keywords that are related to that seed keyword, right? So this is how we find these keywords that we want to optimize our website for. And I do recommend that you do something, what is called keyword mapping. Basically, you go through your entire website. You make a list of each and every page, extract it into a Google Doc or an Excel spreadsheet, and then assign 3 keywords to each and every page. 3 keywords that are very closely related. For example, international SEO training. SEO training London. As you can see there, I got a page that specifically talks about digital marketing and SEO courses in London. So you want to find 3 very closely related keywords for each and every page, and then you're going to optimize each and every page for those 3 keywords. Naturally, there can and will be overlap, but make sure there's not too much overlap of your overall SEO keywords. All right, I hope that makes sense. Then once you start to optimize your website for those target SEO keywords, make sure that you measure or track data and make sure that you measure how are you making improvements in terms of, you know, are you getting rankings for those target SEO keywords over time? So again, this is a tool called SC Ranking. There's a lot of tools out there. Just use one that you're comfortable with, that you know, has the functionality that you need. As you can see there, we started to optimize the Boulder SEO marketing website for the keyword affordable SEO packages. About 260 people are searching for this keyword. We started at position 6 when we started to plug them into this tool. Then now we are at position, I think, 2 or 1. This keyword is getting me a lot of leads. And this is exactly what we want to do when we do SEO, and we want to track the success of our efforts. All right. And then usually we pull this data, we plug it into a Google Doc, and we show our customers. It's like, hey, look, we started here and this is where we're at now. Make sure to do that if you are in charge of search engine optimization. All right. Let me quickly introduce you to something what I call the low-hanging fruit keywords. So naturally, your website already ranks for certain keywords, even if you haven't done search engine optimization. I define these low-hanging fruit keywords as a keyword where you organically rank between position 4 and 30. So you're not in the top 3, right? There is appropriate search volume. And of course, it actually makes sense for your business to optimize for that keyword. All right, let me show you an example here. Again, I'm using SC Ranking in this example. As you can see there at the very bottom, there's another keyword called SEO packages for small business. All right, it is a long tail keyword, 3 or more words strung together. It has appropriate search volume. 170 people are searching for this keyword in the US on a monthly basis. And the website, the Boulder SEO marketing website, currently ranks at position 4. So I'm just outside of that sweet spot. So no brainer, I'm going to optimize for this keyword. I'm going to build a content marketing strategy around this keyword because I want to get into the, you know, ideally the #1 position there. So that would be the definition of a low-hanging fruit SEO keyword. First place wins. Most of us will click on the first 3 organic search results. About 2 out of 10 people will click on the paid search results that Google slaps on top before the organic search results. So if you currently don't do well with your SEO, I do recommend that maybe invest a little bit of money into pay-per-click. And if that's something you're interested in, please feel free to reach out. That's also something that we do. It can, in a way, support your organic SEO strategy in that you get people to your website, they find what they're looking for, it sends positive signals to Google. All right. Let's talk about, let's go global here, multilingual. So I went over to Systran Translate. I used their free machine translation tool, which I absolutely love. So I wanted to know, let's use the example smartphone. You know, I want to know what's the equivalent in German. What word do people use in German for the English keyword smartphone? All right. the machine translation tool is telling me that, hey, apparently a lot of people in Germany also use the English word smartphone. All right. So this is step one of the keyword transcreation process. Ideally, work with a trained linguist that resides in the target market, that completely understands all the keywords that you need to transcreate. All right. I'm a native German speaker, so I went over to Google Keyword Planner. It's another tool that we use to do keyword research. So I typed in the seed keyword smartphone, and then Google spit out, or Google Keyword Planner spat out, hey, here is the search volume for this keyword, and here are some alternatives that you may want to consider for your SEO strategy in relation to the keyword smartphone. All right. These are, as many of you know, there are many German locales. First of all, German for Germany. Most people in Germany use the keywords smartphone and handy. All right, this is how people search in Germany for smartphone. Then in Switzerland, another locale, a German locale, many people search for mobile telephone as well as smartphone. By the way, when I first moved to the US, as you can see there, Notel, that's actually a branded term. I went to a store and I asked where I could buy a Notel. They had no idea what I was talking about. They thought I was, you know, like a Martian, etc. So many people in Switzerland early on, they used that branded term Notel, and search behavior changes over time as, you know, different generations use different search terms. So that's all stuff that you need to take into consideration. And then last but not least, in Austria, most people use the term handy. So it really matters. You're going to have to transcreate those keywords using, you know, the right resources. And then, of course, before you lock in a keyword, quickly head over to Google Trends. Make sure that it's actually a search term that's trending up and not down. In this case, in Germany, the term handy is trending up. Smartphone is sort of like flat. All right. Remember at the beginning of this presentation, when I spoke about that small e-commerce client, there was already traffic from other English-speaking countries getting to their website. We took a look at their Google Analytics. Where do they get traffic from? We noticed that they're getting already traffic from the UK. So we were setting up a global English SEO strategy so that their website is getting found in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, basically other English-speaking markets that we can tackle. Very easy to do. All right, another example here. The search term sports bra spiked during the COVID crisis here in the US. We have 4 girls in this household. I know more about sports bras than a 50-year-old man should. Because I'm paying for those sports bras. This is the search volume in the US, and this is the search volume in the UK. A massive market for sports bras. So if I were in this business, if I were to sell sports bras in the US, I would also tackle the UK market. So you don't even have to go multilingual to start with global SEO. All right. A few global on-page and off-page optimization best practices. I want to quickly introduce you to the term snippet. In relation to a search term, Google will show what is called a snippet. A snippet is made up of a title. We call it the title tag. They will show a URL. They will show a description tag and rich snippet content and side links. Make sure that on the back end of your website, you optimize each and every one of your meta tags, 50 to 60 characters for the title tag, 150 to 160 characters for your description tag. Of course, include your target SEO keywords. And then you got to make sure mark up your content with Google Markup or apply schema. We don't have time to discuss this in detail, but there we go with some tips and best practices. Again, you're going to get a link to these slides later on. All right. And then once we have optimized our source language website, we're gonna transcreate the meta tags into our target languages. All right. So when we transcreate these meta tags, use research and transcreated keywords in the URL. For example, the best smartphone on earth, das beste Handy auf der Welt. All right. Your title tag, it gets a little bit tricky because many languages will expand over the English language. So you got to stick within those parameters, 50 to 60 characters. And then it gets even more trickier with the description tag because, you know, German will probably expand a third, if not more, over English. So this is truly creative writing. It needs to be done by somebody who knows what they're doing. We have trained staff, obviously, here that does this all day long. Super hyper important because that's one of the most important things Google will take a look at. All right. Then, as promised, I want to show you a off-page optimization tip here. If you do a search for SEO training Denver, I think this has changed recently. Google was displaying this position 0. It was an about.me page that I created, basically a static page that I optimized. Then Google will also show assets such as LinkedIn showcase pages. It's a bit of a more advanced SEO strategy. Unfortunately, I don't have time to tell you everything there's to know about off-page SEO here, but we use it as a strategy to push down our competition from page number 1. And then, of course, always optimize, claim and optimize your Google My Business listing. This is the about.me page. It's a company that Google invested in, so I keep an eye on that. And then obviously we test that stuff and check it out. You know, I got it to rank organically at the very top of Google. It's not that hard. You just need to know how to do it. Happy to chat to you about this if you have any questions. All right, this is off-page optimization, getting other digital assets to rank on page number 1 of Google to push down your competition from page number 1. All right, let's quickly talk about technical optimization best practices. When you go international, you got to think about either, go the way of country code top level domain, .fr, .de, etc. It's the best for SEO. It's the most work. You can do subfolder, country specific subfolders. Or the easiest would be country and language specific subdirectories. So your domain.com/fr-fr, etc. It's definitely the easiest way to get started and to manage multilingual websites. And that's something that you should reach out to Ken. I'm sure, Ken, you'd love to talk to our audience about the localization and how to get started with multilingual websites there.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, can we do our second poll now?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I totally skipped that. CJ. Yeah, we already spoke about some financials there. CJ, actually, I'd be interested to know how much do people invest or during this COVID crisis, you know, did their spending go up or down, about the same, or not sure? If you can quickly, thanks for the reminder, Ken. where are we at? Have you increased your spending, decreased it, about the same, or not sure? All right, we still have a few minutes here to wrap up the presentation. So why don't we give it just a few more seconds, if you don't mind. Click on that button and then hit submit. Maybe 2 more seconds. All right. CJ, are you able to share the results? Okay, that's about in line with what we saw here. A lot of our clients, they stayed the same. Actually, some went down. All right, cool. Thanks so much, CJ. Let me close that. All right. Then let's quickly talk about the hreflang tag. There's the link if you'd like more information. But if you localize your website, make sure you add this hreflang tag at the back end of your website to tell Google what content is for which audience around the world. That's as much as I'm going to tell you about this tag. But it's very important. So definitely talk to your tech team if you're involved in localization, in multilingual SEO. And then obviously don't mix and match. Don't confuse the heck out of Google with multiple languages on one page. So keep it separate. And then here's a list of ISEO tips that I put together. Set up your Google Search Console, specify the target country. Machine translation is great. It works in certain cases, but poorly translated or artificial sounding translations will be detected by Google. So use a professional localization solution. If you absolutely have to use machine translation, consider using a robots.txt file to block that content. So just do it the right way, get it localized the right way. All right, that was basically my presentation real quick. We have launched a training where you can learn all of this good stuff here. It's an ongoing program, about 8 weeks long, where we meet with our audience on a regular basis. We'll teach you this stuff. If you need help, you're welcome to reach out, of course. We do have capacity to take on new clients, but right there is the way you can contact me through our website. That was my sales pitch. With that said, Ken, woo!
Thank you very much, Chris. That was very enlightening and much appreciated. We do have a few questions for you, which I think we have time. First one is, which markets should be focused on, in your opinion?
Yeah, it really depends. I would probably first start with another English-speaking market. So if you're in the US, why not try to tackle Canada? You will have to, localize in quotes your content because they use the S instead of the Z, the Z, etc. Yeah. But that's a great way to get started. Maybe even just localize a subset of your website, maybe your top 3 selling products or services. And then you can always go multilingual after that.
Okay, cool. Second one, is an SEO agency necessary, or can we do it all in-house?
No, that's a great question. So if you have the time, resources, and knowledge available in-house, give it a shot. Why not? I've been doing this for now 25 plus years. So it changes so often. So if you are able to pay somebody, to do this, why not? Usually if somebody hires us, I would say, a decent SEO agency, you're going to have to invest anywhere from $2,000-3,000 up to 15,000, depending on how many languages you need optimized.
Okay, cool. And of course, it also depends on the value of your product. If you sell something that costs $100,000, then it's quite a good investment.
Oh yeah.
Is SEO for Bing worth it? Does it work the same way as Google?
Oh man, I love this question. Yes, there is a specific audience that uses Bing. It's usually a little bit the more senior audience, so 55, 60 and up, because Bing comes pre-installed on Microsoft devices.
Oh,
So yes, actually I just got off the phone with another client, and they get a lot of traffic from Bing. And you know, it's higher converting, etc. So it really depends on your target audience. So yes, it can be worth it.
and SEO in what SEO is dominant in China?
So it's Baidu.
Baidu. Okay.
Yeah, if you are in mainland, if you want to sell your stuff in mainland China, you're gonna have to optimize. You're gonna have to go the Baidu route. It's very similar. There are some nuances. There's some certificates that you need to have on your website. There's some minor differences, but absolutely worth it. Yes.
Okay. What aspects of digital marketing should be focused on during this time?
So when this crisis hit, we stopped selling. We started to educate. We did a webinar, I think, every other week, just like stay in front of our customers, get more people to our website or signed up for our webinars through organic search. And it has paid off tremendously. We're signing on clients left and right now. So it's a great way to create new content, you know, in a non-salesy way. Just connect with people through educational content.
No, absolutely. And I think with all these things, SEO, whether it's international or general, sounds quite a simple thing to do. It's only when you start deep diving, as you started today, there's a lot involved in getting it right, but the value, the return that you get back, really pays dividends once you have content and rich content that people can benefit from. So totally agree with you there.
Yes.
Final question. Oh, actually, two more. I think we've enough. Should any local characters be avoided in URLs, perhaps for specific East Asian languages or their local search engines?
Yeah, ideally, if Google is important, if you're in Japan, avoid bidirectional or like double byte, triple byte characters. So yeah, in that case, I would probably recommend go the English route. Don't use extended characters or umlauts, etc. If you're in Japan only, use Japanese, but it may be worth using, Latin characters in your URLs. Just avoid extended characters, all that good stuff. And then just real quick, that was exactly 24 hours ago. My wife and I, we did a beautiful hike up there in Steamboat Springs. So that's a absolutely latest picture of me right there.
Yeah, looking good. The Corona's treating you well.
Yeah.
And the final question, actually, can you hand over, allow me share a screen just to finish up?
So I'll stop sharing my screen here.
Excellent, thank you. And so the final question is, let me just press share here. What are your thoughts on redirecting based on the user's accept language header value?
Oh, I think so. The way I understand the language, don't use cookies to get somebody to the right language. I would have a language selector. Yeah, that's
Okay.
if you just do a Google search on that, you'll find the information. But yeah, don't use cookies and automated stuff to get people to the right language. Just have a language selector where it's easy to get back to the original language.
Excellent. Thank you so much for answering all those questions, Chris. And thank you to everybody who attended today. I think it's been quite enlightening, certainly for me. This is our last or our final one before the summer break. We'll be back in September. And as you can see, we'll send you this link, but there's plenty of other webinars to also look at. And Taos during Corona times. Our CEO was on that, and several others in relation to gaming and so on and so forth. As I say, this webinar will also be here, and we look forward to any of your comments regarding either future webinars you'd like to see, or any additional information that you'd like in regard to this one. So again, thank you so much for joining, and hopefully talk to all of you again very soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.